If you're interested in finding out how to gain closure, keep watching. Hello Crow Coven and welcome back to our channel. If you're new, I'm Nyx with Crowmate's Apothecary, and in today's video we're going to be looking at how it is that you can gain closure. But before I get into the intro of the cards, as always, remember to hit the like button, click subscribe to join the Crow Coven, and lastly, leave a comment down below letting us all know that you've joined. If you'd like to support the channel more directly and you're interested in a private tarot reading of your very own, you can contact us at crowmatesapothecary@gmail.com. And now let's get into the intro of the cards. On the far left side, we have Honey Calcite representing group number 1. Then we have Pyrite representing group number 2. Next is the Raw Crystal Quartz representing group number 3. And lastly is the Pink Agate representing group number 4. Feel free to pause the video and meditate on the different groups that I have set up before you. And when you've made your decision, head on down to the description box below and then click on the timestamp that corresponds with the group that you chose. And now, without further ado, let's head into your reading. Hello group number 1 and welcome to today's video. In this reading, we are going to be looking at how it is that you can gain closure. And it's actually really interesting because I had a completely different video planned for today's reading, and this sort of came to my mind the other day and I just couldn't stop thinking about it. So I feel like this is just a really important thing that someone needs to hear. So hopefully this is absolutely something that you've been waiting to hear. You guys chose this Honey Calcite, and this can really help with providing a sense of self-worth and safety, and also to provide comfort to those who have suffered from abuse or trauma as well. So this could be very much something that you need to hear in order to heal from those things. You're very protected as you listen to this reading as well. And I sat down and actually pulled these cards prior to recording the intro. So all of these cards here are meant for you, group 1. So let's go ahead and get into this. This first card here that I pulled, it actually came up with a blocked sort of energy. So when I was shuffling them, this was the last card that I pulled, and it came out sideways like this. So I do want to read it as such, and we're seeing it as justice. So in the justice card, it means that there was some sort of need for fairness. And with it being blocked, you're kind of in that in-between where it feels imbalanced, and that it almost feels as if this can go either way. So you're at a precipice right now where whatever you went through and whatever you have been suffering from, you haven't quite seen justice go one way or the other. So you haven't seen whether or not you have been able to feel almost like vindicated in what has happened to you. But we're going to go ahead and go forward with the remainder of the cards now. We have the Fool in the reversed position. We have the Ace of Swords in the reversed position. We have the Three of Cups. And lastly, we have the Five of Pentacles. And this is very, very beautiful. It is showing me that there is a struggle currently that's going on in your life. I can only imagine it's being caused by this injustice that you're feeling here. The fact that you can't see it through to the end. This is reading almost as if like there's not enough evidence or too much time has passed to be able to confront this fully. There's the potential that this could be that other people around you who may have even been involved in this situation, somehow they aren't seeing it for what it is. Like they're trying to remain neutral in the situation instead of picking sides, kind of thing. So this kind of almost feels like a person who has caused this injustice to be upon you. The readings, as they are general, they can come as something that is like just an unfair thing that happened in a friendship or perhaps a job. But in particular, this almost feels like something a little bit deeper. This could have been a hardship that was caused by a family member or a friend or even a partner or ex-partner. And that's why it feels so muddied. It feels like there isn't enough to convince other people of this, and you are trying to move beyond that because you're like, well, if I'm not going to see this justice through to the end kind of thing, then I don't want it to be weighing on my mind anymore. But we're seeing that it really is, especially here with this Ace of Swords. But reading from the Fool reversed, it feels like there's this like, it's hard for you to be able to pursue this new journey that you want to go on. And so I feel like in order for you to gain closure, you almost have to restart. You almost have to like force it a little bit. It's kind of giving that sort of like fake it till you make it kind of vibe, because it feels like right now you could potentially be doing things that are almost a little bit more reckless or risk taking, and it could be because of this you're reacting in a way that is your grief coming through, and it's causing you to go kind of off in a direction you wouldn't normally go off on, because you're like, well, if this isn't gonna work for me, then like why care or do anything? So it feels like sort of self-destructive kind of behaviors may be plaguing you right now, and maybe mindset wise you could possibly be having more negative mindset. So even if it's not you being reckless with your like body kind of thing, it could be you're allowing yourself to have these darker thoughts, or you're allowing yourself to think in ways that could be potentially harming you. So I think that working through this chaos, because that's what this card in reverse generally means, there's some lack of clarity and there's some confusion that is going on in your mind. We have to find your own justice and your own balance. So what would be fair to you? Is it going to be fair to you to continue to think about these things over and over again and keep them in your mind and allow it to control your life, allow it to for you to like be more reckless and feel chaotic? Or do you want to be able to bring this sense of stability to yourself and be able to move forward in your life kind of thing? So right now, again, I feel like you're on a precipice, so you could be possibly thinking about something that could be very reckless, that you're like, well, what if I do this? Like maybe people will understand me now if I do this, or maybe like I'll gain more sympathy from people because of this kind of thing. So I do urge you to rethink whatever it is that's going on here. And I'm getting this sense and feeling of wanting to feel grounded again. We're not seeing too much in being grounded, especially with that Five of Pentacles in the reverse position. We're seeing that disruption of the mind here with the Ace of Swords. So you feel very all over the place. So we want to make sure that you rein that back in. And one of the ways that we are seeing that you can do that here is in the Three of Cups. This is a beautiful card that is talking about you being able to celebrate something and being able to come together in a community where there is this sense of understanding and this sharing. You're seeing how the heart is moving between these three cups in this card in particular. It feels like if you can find a community where similar injustices have happened or traumas, things like that, if you're able to find that, then you will be able to really celebrate one another and be able to be proud of who you are when you see others like you and realize that you're not alone kind of thing. The other thing with the Three of Cups that I want to bring up is, again, that this can very heavily deal with like friendships in general. So those of you who have a tight-knit group of friends. During this time, keep them very close to you. Let them know what's going on. Let them know your mindset and things that you are thinking, because I'm getting the feeling that these people are ones that you are able to feel safe with and that you can share your story with, and they're going to be able to understand you. So if you haven't opened up to someone, absolutely look to your friends for that, because I think that they will be able to help you along this way. Lastly, we have in the Five of Pentacles in the reverse position is that this here is showing that there is some sort of recovery that is happening, specifically dealing with your finances. However, I'm seeing this as the recovery of the grounding that you need. Even though this is showing up in the reverse position, this card in particular is better when it's reversed. So it's one of those cards where you are actually recovering and could be gaining that stability once more. And it could be calling to you perhaps feeling not as connected to your faith. And this may be kind of trying to edge you back toward that, as being like, hey, you know, this was a hardship that you went through, but the universe is here to protect you. There is going to be something better for you out there, and you just need to like reach within, work within on that. You may need to be, or maybe feeling called to looking up how to do shadow work and working on things within. That will definitely help to clear out that confusion and all of that like lack of clarity, if you're able to do shadow work as well. So I'm going to go ahead and pull a couple more cards, since this is kind of more about kind of your journey and where you're feeling. Can we please get a clarifying card on what group one can do in order to receive closure? We have the Queen of Cups coming out, and that to me immediately reads as becoming sort of becoming your own emotional security, being compassionate for yourself and for what you went through, listening to your intuition, and overall having just a sense of calm when it comes to your life. So breaking past this confusion, this stress, and trying to regain that sort of regal authority over your emotions. We also have the Tower coming out, and this is interesting. It makes me think that this was an absolutely necessary thing that had to happen. This injustice that we're seeing, in order for you to learn a specific lesson and for you to like up level and grow. The Tower always comes out when there is this deep need for you to suddenly change everything in your life. This sort of like deep-rooted foundation needs to be brought back up so you can rebuild on it. So I think that if anything, if this isn't talking about the fact that this needed to happen, it could be that one of the steps for your closure is going to be you needing to just let things be as they are. And that can be extremely hard to do, especially if you aren't being like taken seriously. And it's hard because this is a card that talks about generally that it's some sort of external force that's going to be coming around your way. This almost makes you more passive in this situation. So it may be just a situation where you are continuing to live and just regaining the sense of groundedness, becoming more stable when it comes to your emotions. Again, getting in contact with people who could help you through during this time. And maybe as you become this Queen of Cups, something may happen. Perhaps there's going to be more evidence that comes to light, or someone else says, yeah, this also happened to me, like with this person kind of thing. And you're going to then be able to take steps beyond that. But as of right now, I think something for you to gain closure on is going to be just you safe in the knowledge that this will not happen to you again. Whatever the situation was that you were in, it will not happen to you again. You've been through something that you needed to learn from, as hard as it could be to go through and as painful as it could be. And now you are seeing the world around you in a completely new light, and you're able to kind of shape yourself beyond this. And again, it may feel very unfair that this happened. It may feel very much like you are alone, but again, you aren't. There are others out there that are like you, and they will help you during this time. I'm going to pull a few more cards for you, Group 1. Let me get some more messages for Group 1 to help on their closure due to the situation. Balance. The fact that we are seeing balance here, and that justice, it being scales, is blocked, calling to you to become more balanced within yourself. Again, with the Fool feeling very reckless, and then the Ace of Swords having that confusion, you needing to bring yourself back into this sense of balance will give you your power back, and that is going to help you with your closure over this situation. Any other messages? Survival. So it could feel as if right now you are in sort of a survival mode, and this is going to be something that it's not going to be easy, and you are going to feel almost like you have to maybe keep your head down for a while because of this, because there's still someone out there who could potentially be trying to hunt you. There could be something going on where they're trying to diminish your reputation, or they could be trying to cast this sort of sense of like confusion on your reputation, so people aren't sure like exactly who you are, kind of thing, because you're saying one thing and they're saying another. So if you're still in contact with this person and whatever is going on with this, I would suggest that you need to completely break contact with them. I do feel like they are doing this thing maliciously, and for you to be able to feel safe and secure, you need to make sure that you are away from this person. Find other people who are like you, who have been through the same thing, and they will likely tell you the same thing as well. It's that they are no longer in contact with the person who hurt them in this way. Let me get some more messages for Group 1. The first one we're seeing is Fluorite, and this one says, find peace within. So you are going to be the one who is giving yourself this sense of closure. I'm not seeing it coming from an external force. There's the potential that something could come up where you may gain validation from another person, but I do think that overall you are going to be the one who ends up giving yourself this closure, which like 95% of the time it ends up being you coming to terms with what has happened to you in your life, and you really reaching that point. I've been in this situation before completely. This feels almost like a reading for me, and I had to be the one to be like, I'm not going to let this affect my life. I'm not going to let it cloud my judgment in my mind anymore. I'm going to instead stand up for myself and do my own thing. And there's only been one instance in my entire life where I had someone who who hurt me in my past come back to me years later and apologize for what they did. And at that point, it's like I had already forgiven them because it had been like nearly 10 years, if not longer. But it was nice to hear. But it's just one of those things where it's like I was already kind of at that point because it had just been so long. So it might just be an instance of you needing to take that for yourself. We also have Shungite with Detox Your Life. So this needing for you to go on a detox of some sort, whether this is a detox from the person, or if you are doing more reckless things like perhaps using substances that you should not be, or indulging in things that you should not be, this card is coming out to let you know that in order for you to find this closure and this peace, that you going through this sort of detox is going to help you a lot during this time. I'm going to pull one last card for you, Group 1. Can we get one final message for Group 1, please? And their closure. How they can find closure. Yes, I love this card so much. So this card is Jean-Pierre Polnareff, and it says facing your demons. So we talked a little bit earlier about that shadow work that you may need to go through. It's you needing to face this thing head on instead of allowing it to fester in the background. You letting it come to surface to your mind whenever it feels like it. You need to make sure you're sitting with whatever it is that happened and recognizing it for what it was and processing it in that way, instead of, again, just letting it go through, letting it decide when it wants to pop into your life and make things that much harder for you. So this would definitely be a time for you to try to reclaim your power, finding balance, becoming more grounded within yourself. And that may even be that you end up getting more finances so you can kind of, again, either live on your own, or if you can afford things that will be nicer for you than perhaps some of these more reckless things that you're doing. Finding that community of people who have been through the same thing and being able to talk about your experiences. You may be in survival mode right now, so just taking care of yourself, having a lot of compassion for yourself. We want to make sure that you're treating yourself kindly and that you're being gentle with yourself. You need to find that peace within, and also there's something in your life that you need to detox yourself from. So again, if you're keeping this person in your life, I would highly suggest re-evaluating that, because it could be that they are not meant to remain in your life. Otherwise, it could be perhaps some bad habits, whether that's substances, or if you use something for escapism, it could be too much. There could be something that you need to work through in that way. So just know that you are protected when you go through and you are trying to do the shadow work. You're facing these demons and everything. And hopefully that will bring you to this upright justice where you will finally feel fulfilled and feel as if justice has gone into effect and it feels right and fair for you. So thank you guys so much for getting to the end of your reading. I know it was a bit of a doozy. I'm sorry for that. I hope you were able to take some messages and be able to go forward with them. Again, if you like the video or it resonates with you, remember to click like in order to share that with me. Click the subscribe button to join the Crow Coven so you don't miss other readings just like this one, even though they can sometimes be a little harsh. And lastly, if you feel safe to do so and you want to share your experience or let me know that this did resonate with you, anything like that, you can go into as much detail as you want. Head on down to the comments below and then let me know kind of your story. Anyway, thank you guys so much for getting to the end of your reading, and I will see you guys in the next one. Hello, group number 2, and welcome to today's reading. So in today's video, we're going to be looking at how it is that you can gain closure from this certain situation that you've been through. It's actually really interesting because I had a completely different idea that I was going to do for this video, and just the other day I got hit with this idea of how to gain closure from something, and I could not get it out of my head. So I couldn't even think about doing the other video idea that I had. This just kept like playing on repeat in my head. So I really feel like that this is intended for someone or a couple people in particular that they really need to hear this. So I hope that you can gain some clarity from your reading for today. So you guys chose the pyrite in order to represent you guys, and in the pyrite, it really talks about being able to see through and see the things for what they are, especially since this is known as fool's gold. So this is kind of known by many people to perhaps indicate trickery or mischievousness, and the fact that you can see through that and recognize it again for what it is. So let's go ahead and get into your cards. I sat down and I shuffled these even before I did the intro, so these cards are the ones that are meant for you. And interestingly enough, these first two cards came out together, so I'm going to be reading them together because they like flew out at the same exact time. So these cards here are the Two of Pentacles and the Queen of Wands, which kind of sounds almost like, yes, this is exactly what we want to hear, and kind of hopefully will like link together with the rest of the cards so we know how to reach this point. The Two of Pentacles talks about balance. It talks about being able to be adaptable and being able to prioritize things once more. So being able to prioritize your life instead of feeling trapped in this mindset and the thoughts of what happened in your past. And again, just bringing yourself this sense of, this like natural sense of balance for yourself. Then the Queen of Wands here, she is a very powerful energy. She's very warm and vibrant, and she loves to attack things head on with this sense of determination, and just is overall someone who's like glowing kind of thing. She's someone who can get things done, and you don't have to be afraid of whether or not you're going to reach this pinnacle because you always know. So this may be something that you want for yourself. You may want to be someone who is very friendly and warm and just sort of shines. And so perhaps this is kind of a journey between you realizing how to balance yourself and what you want to become. The Queen of Wands in particular always also reminds me of someone who's able to put up boundaries and reinforce them. So you're not just saying like, hey, I don't want people to treat me this way, but then you turn around and let people treat you that way kind of thing. So she is like the queen of following through with something, almost to the point of like, it comes off sometimes harshly to people because you're living this truth so directly kind of thing. So let's go ahead and get into the rest of the cards. We're going to see what you can do in order to gain closure. The first card we're seeing is the Star, and this is just a beautiful sign. The Star is one that talks about faith and hope and feeling like there's some sense of renewal coming to you. It can sometimes talk about feeling like this sense of like inspiration. So perhaps you're just going to be so inspired by the idea of who you could possibly be in the future that you just sort of seek it out for yourself. But overall, this is kind of clinging on to almost like a hope where if this was a situation where you were kind of done bad by like a friend or a job or family member, you may be clinging on to some hope that they could potentially be reaching out to you to apologize for whatever the situation was. We're seeing the Seven of Cups in the reverse position, and lastly, the King of Cups in the reverse position. So interestingly, we've seen the Seven of Cups reverse coming out, and this talks about that there is some illusion that is going on. So this kind of feels like that pyrite that we were talking about earlier is you needing to be able to see through someone or something. And that's kind of how I'm taking it here. Especially with the King of Cups reverse being right after it, feels almost like a too good to be true kind of moment is happening. You're wishing that you could have these different things that you could rely on and choose from. And it may feel like normally you would have all these choices, but in the end you actually you really don't have any choice kind of thing. It isn't something that you get to decide. And that is like what's making this hard and painful right now. We're seeing in this King of Cups too that there is some sense of emotional manipulation that could potentially be going on. This could indicate someone who's very volatile with their emotions. So they may seem very, very calm and relaxed one minute, and then the next they're suddenly like snapping, maybe raising their voice, things like that, because we're seeing how this king here, with him being reversed, cups talk about the emotions, is that feels like a roller coaster ride kind of thing. So I feel like there's the potential that you are almost holding out hope that this person is going to kind of, pardon the expression, but man up. They're going to be able to step to the bat and be able to like perhaps apologize or recognize where they were in the wrong. And you are thinking like, hey, like there's all these like things that they could say that they could tempt me with kind of thing in order to win me back kind of thing. I don't know why it suddenly went romantic, but here we are. But I think that whatever it is that they're going to be saying is simply just going to be to win you back. It isn't going to be like they're not going to mean it. Their heart isn't actually going to be in whatever this apology is. And this doesn't have to be romantic. It went that route because it's so easy to go down that way when you're seeing things like this. But this could be even potentially you thinking that you have this amazing like job offer lined up, and you think that you have like all these offers that are coming to you, but say someone offers it to you, but it's because they want to basically run you into the ground. They want to overwork you with stress and all these other things, but you don't recognize it as that. You're holding out hope that you'll get this position kind of thing, and it's going to end up leading you down this path that is going to not benefit you, not keep you in balance, and make you feel like you're this Queen of Wands kind of thing. So this can be about any situation, of course, but with it being about closure, it feels more like something that has happened that you're kind of just, you're waiting for like an apology from someone, something out there, and whether or not you get it is going to depend on this person, but I'm not seeing the sort of positive vibe. Can we get some cards on how group 2 can navigate this? How can they gain their own sense of closure? These cards fell out, but I don't feel called to take them. Judgment in the reverse position. And the Devil reversed. Interesting. We got two really powerful cards here coming out. The Devil in particular can sometimes talk about being chained to another person. You are like allowing yourself to be taken in by them because they have this silver tongue and they're able to say the exact things that you want to hear, and you need to be able to see through this illusion kind of thing. Interestingly, in Judgment, in this card here, it's cool how you can kind of see through this like glass wall almost, and you're able to see the road beyond, and you're able to see this one in the distance kind of thing. And it's opaque, so you're able to kind of view through it, kind of like how we were talking about needing to be able to see through something. You're going to be able to see through this problem and bring it towards your greatest truth and your higher truth. But with it being reversed, it's interesting still in this position because you're seeing it almost as here's this pinpoint, and then you're seeing this almost like line of vision kind of color going through here. So I still think there's this need for you to look through someone. It feels like you don't want to, though, and that can be really hard to deal with, because you are having this like doubt within yourself where you're like, can I trust how I actually feel? And you should be able to. You absolutely should be able to listen to your intuition and trust how you feel about someone or something. But it feels like you could potentially be afraid of looking at this person because maybe that means that you have to look at yourself first. You have to examine yourself and really see who you are before you're able to recognize who this person is. And I think if you are somebody, sorry for cracking my knuckles, sorry, if you are somebody who you want to bring yourself closer to this Queen of Wands, and you want to become this higher self, then you absolutely have to look at yourself first. The Judgment card, when it is in the upright position, this is about like your highest self, your inner calling, like the absolution, kind of like this is the like one of the highest cards. The next one after this is the World, and then that's it. So this is like the complete journey. So for you to reach this highest self, you have to not be afraid of looking within. We're also seeing that with the Devil reversed. The Devil, when it's upright, talks about bondage and talks about being chained to another person because of some sort of addiction to this person or this mindset or whatever. But when the Devil's reversed, it talks about breaking free from that and reclaiming your power. So you're able to detach yourself from perhaps the mindsets that you have about yourself, or thinking that this is like this was your one and only kind of thing. You have to detach yourself from that and recognize that there's so much more for you out there, and that you are going to need to be the one who does it. Because in this card, it really talks about they're able to burrow it into your mind. They're able to find that path inside of your head and whisper things in your ear, and you need to reject that. Very interesting, very strong cards there. I do think there's a need for you to do some self-evaluation, sit down with yourself, work through some things that are your inner self, your inner calling. You need to go through a rebirth. So this star being here can really talk about you needing to go through this renewal of yourself and recognize that you are worth so much more, and you're able to be this very strong Queen of Wands energy here. It's interesting because she looks like she's standing in a pose of triumph over the Devil as well, kind of thing. So you're going to be able to work through this and not allow this person or situation to bring you down. I do think, though, a lot of it's in your own hands. I don't think you should rely on this person coming to you and apologizing. I told this to group 1 as well, is that like 95% of the time you're not going to reach closure from the other person because they're not going to be emotionally mature enough to recognize that they did wrong, and then they're going to come to you and be like, yeah, sorry. And I only ever had that happen to me once in my entire now 36 years of life, that I have only ever had one time where someone literally came back after years of something that they did to me and apologized, and I had already forgiven them. So it's one of those things where it's very, very rare, and it being sincere is even harder. to parse through, because someone can come back to you and apologize the very next day about something horrible that they did or said, but they're doing it because they want to keep you, kind of thing. I've been through that too, so learn from that. Do not trust those words from those people. Can we get some more messages on how group 2 can navigate this closure? Memory. I immediately got in this card, as soon as I saw it, this feeling of leaving people in your memory. Like, leave behind these things. Try to recall also the good times in your life. We're seeing how this crow is remembering these different places and perhaps people, because crows have this this like intense ability to like recognize faces of people who are good to them and people who are bad to them, kind of thing. So they're seeing this person here in this bright light because they're like, oh, I remember this person fed me before, kind of thing. So look back on the things that made you feel good and go toward those things again. With it being under the star especially, I really think that this can help lead you toward you remembering who you are, knowing that things will get better, tapping into that almost childhood whimsy and memory. But yes, leaving that person behind. We also have Anomaly coming out. I love this card here. It's so pretty. So you could be someone who's just, you have like such a shine about you and such a, yes, ma'am. Sorry, that was my bunny. You have this sort of beacon of light kind of vibe about you that can draw people to you. And this here can also kind of talk a little bit more about the Queen of Wands and about how you have that within you. You have this spark, this shine within you, but you need to be okay with letting people see that. And in order to do that, you have to work through this. Allow yourself your own sense of peace and closure in order to gain this for yourself. Gonna get a few more cards for group 2. The first one we have coming out is Carnelian. It says, feed your creativity. So there could be something that you need to work through when it comes to your creativity, any sort of artistic sense, whether you're someone who likes to do illustrations or if you're somebody who likes to sing or dance, things like that. Tap into those things in order to work through this. Feed that passion in order to bring that balance back into your life. That may also be where you are seen. When it comes to that Anomaly card, you have this chance and ability to work through whatever this situation was, and it could potentially lead you to shining, to reaching out and being more of that Queen of Wands. Sorry that the cards are kind of not straight. I'm gonna lose my mind if they don't straighten up a little bit. We also have Malachite that came through, which says it's time to transform. So this is the time. Like, you need to do something now for yourself that is going to bring you into this next phase of your life, and that's going to allow you to become this higher self and become this Queen of Wands here. Lastly, I pulled this card here, Shungite, which says detox your life. So you could potentially be thinking about, maybe you're thinking about going through some sort of detox phase. You could be maybe wanting to purge things that are in your house. If you perhaps have things that this person had given you or something, you might want to get rid of those. It could be potentially that this could call toward some sort of substance abuse, and you are recognizing where this is not something that you should continue forward with, so you're wanting to get rid of it. It could also perhaps be a mindset that you are needing to detox. So if you're thinking that you're not good enough and you're not able to reclaim that power sort of thing, you may need to go through that as well. This is the time though. With this, it's time to transform. Now is the time for you to take this step, whatever this plunge is, because I think you may have possibly been thinking about it for quite some time, and it's now telling you like, hey, this is it. It could even just be a detox from this person. Like, you could possibly be going, yeah, I know they're not good for me. I see all the red flags, but like, I like them. And it's now going like, no, you have to pull the plug. You have to like finally walk away. Can we get one last message for group 2? We have the brothers, and it says, do not rush. So don't rush yourself when it comes to this process. Don't think you're going to be healed from it like immediately, like, oh wow, suddenly like everything in my life is perfect. Like, it feels like this is going to take some time. You have to put a lot of time and effort into yourself when it comes to wanting to grow and heal. And because of this, you are going to need to remain patient with yourself as well. But overall, I feel like you guys have a pretty positive reading going on. We want to gain this balance. We want to kind of up level to this Queen of Wands. So in order to do that, I really feel like it's time for you to really look at yourself, recognize who you are, your strengths and weaknesses, whatever faults you may have. We want to make sure that we work through those instead of just ignoring them, because that is what is going to open you up to this brighter future, and you're going to be able to reclaim that power of yours in order to become this higher self, because you are a like bright, shiny anomaly in this world, and people are going to be able to see you for who you are when you learn to accept yourself and you're able to grow from this situation. Make sure you feed whatever creativity you have, like however you like to like work through that outlet, transform into your higher self, and remember that it is time to detox yourself potentially from this person who could be just sort of whispering sweet nothings in your ear. And remember always, don't rush and keep hold of your hope for a brighter future. So thank you guys so much for getting to the end of your reading. If you liked it or it resonates with you, of course, remember to hit that like button, click subscribe to join the Crow Coven, and if you feel safe to do so and would like to share your story, head on down to the comments below and let me know if this resonated with you. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Hello, group number 3, and welcome to today's reading. So in today's video, we are going to be looking at what it is that you can do in order to receive closure for whatever the situation is. And this is actually pretty interesting because I came into wanting to film today's video with a completely different idea and had it all lined up, but just the other day, this idea came to my mind and I could not help but actually film this one instead. I couldn't even think about the other one. So I'm hoping that this message reaches those who it is intended for, and hopefully that is you today. So we are going to be looking at your reading, which I have actually already shuffled out and chosen these cards before I even filmed the intro. And you guys chose this raw crystal quartz. So I'm going to go ahead and show that off for you guys a little bit more. This can hopefully help us be able to pinpoint this truth that you need to hear, and it's going to really amplify everything that you need to be doing right now. It's going to help be able to channel that and give you that much more power when it comes to this need for closure. So let's go ahead and get into reading your cards. First, we have death coming out. So that's very much a strong indicator of you needing to go through almost this cycle of rebirth, this transformation sort of thing. So there is some need of change that's going to be happening in your life, whether it's already begun or you are kind of recognizing that it needs to happen. There's some intrinsic change that needs to happen with you. So this is an ending and a beginning. So there's something that's going to come to an end and a new beginning that is going to be there for you. Next, we have the Eight of Pentacles in the reversed position, the Page of Cups, the Sun in the reversed position, and the Hermit in the reversed position. These are all very, very positive and interesting cards too. So let's get into it. So with this Eight of Pentacles reversed, we are wanting to recognize that you could potentially be holding yourself to a extremely high standard that you need to break away from. This can talk about needing things to be like perfect before you go forward. So having this streak of perfectionism that is actually holding you back from progressing forward. There could also be some lack of focus that's going on, but it could just be because you are kind of torn between what you want your new beginning to look like. It could be that you have already put in a lot of work. It feels like you've done a great deal of processing and progress that is, you haven't quite been rewarded yet though. It feels like you keep trying, you just keep wanting to push yourself forward, and it's getting to a point where it's just being really hard for you to see if you can continue with it, kind of thing. So this feels kind of like almost a long-term sort of trauma that you've been through. So this could potentially be rooted even in your childhood. Groups 1 and 2 actually had things that felt a little bit fresher, and it felt more like it was done by a singular person, whereas this almost kind of feels like the culmination of your life. It feels like things have been against you for so long, and yes, that could have been done by maybe just one person. It could have been like a parent that did things that caused it for you to have a very hard childhood growing up, kind of thing. But for the majority of you, it feels like you kind of keep getting served crap from the universe, and you keep having to deal with it, and you hate this. And you're like, I'm sick of it, I want it to be done. And so you are needing to figure out how to come to terms with that, and that this is the hands that you were dealt and how you're going to deal with it beyond. So you putting on this perfectionist sort of mentality for yourself could be holding you back, because you're thinking, why do I want to bother taking the steps if my life isn't going to look like how I wish it could have been, kind of thing. Instead of being content within your own happiness that you can afford yourself, you're going, I don't really see the point in trying, kind of thing. And I think that we got to maneuver away from that a bit, and instead allow you to be happy in the way that you can be, and in the way that is going to be allowed for you. And that's something that you have to change mindset wise. You have to really know that you are allowed to progress from whatever the situation is. For some of you, the death card in this can be read so much more literally, in the sense of perhaps you dealt with a passing of a loved one, and now you're trying to pick up the pieces, and you're feeling very stilted because you're trying to push forward with the right way to heal, the right way to deal with grief, and the right way to be someone who is grieving, kind of thing. But there is no right way. There's only the way that you can be dealing with it, kind of thing. Not everyone's grief is going to look the same. nor should it. And you just have to allow yourself to be, kind of thing. So it could be far more literally for some of you, but I feel like for you to gain whatever closure, whether it is death or otherwise, is this need to go through a change. We're seeing that again here in this Page of Cups. Is this talks about more of a like creative sort of change, like a creative beginning. You're becoming more in sync with yourself, and like your higher self is kind of aligning with you a bit more, and that is going to bring you toward a happier future. And in order to do that, you need to sort of take these steps where you are shifting your mindset to something that is a lot more beneficial to you. This can also talk about a message coming to you, because almost every one of the like pages does talk about some sense of like communication or discovery, things like that. And in particular, it feels like there might be a message that you're going to hear from someone, whether that's through like email, text, a phone call, things like that. You're going to hear something that's going to resonate with you, that you may even pick up as kind of like a new mantra, that you're going to be like, this is how I'm going to continue forward with my life, is I'm going to keep revisiting this, and it's going to bring about this kind of sense of like unlocking this balance within yourself. In the next two cards here, we're seeing both the Sun and the Hermit in the reverse position. And for the Sun in particular, even though it's reversed, it can still indicate a like positive sort of situation or outcome kind of thing. With the Sun, it can just mean that there is like this sort of like, it's still like a sunny day out, but there's clouds in the sky. So sometimes the sun gets covered by the clouds and it becomes overcast and everything. And so there's that kind of sense of temporary depression or sadness, but you're going to eventually, the sun's always going to be there. It's going to be able to bring you that positive warmth that the Sun card normally brings. So there's kind of just going to be patches. So again, this can kind of talk about grief and how you may be dealing with grief, is taking the good with the bad, or when it comes to this closure of a situation, is recognizing where you're allowed to have fun despite the sad that has happened, kind of thing. So allowing yourself that for sure. Then next we have the Hermit in the reverse position, and this one to me reads far more as a sort of warning for some of you, is the feeling of you becoming far too withdrawn and too isolated. Because normally when the Hermit is in the upright position, it talks about needing to do some soul searching and really dealing with introspection, but that can be done without completely pulling away from friends and family. And I think that is kind of what is your warning here, is don't pull away so completely that you just feel completely alone, kind of thing. For some of you though, I was reading this earlier as almost a kind of you needing to break away from this hermit mindset a bit more as well, is that you've already done a lot of inner work, and you know yourself really well. You understand your you're very self-aware when it comes to how you deal with things and how you process those things. And because of that, I feel like you shouldn't be sitting in this hermit mode for much longer. So breaking out of your shell, making sure that you take steps to include yourself within society and within your like friends and family once more, instead of just being tucked away, kind of thing, feels like that is going to help you during this time. Can we get some more messages for group 3 and for helping them with their closure? All of those cards, please. We have the Three of Swords in the reverse position, which does talk about this need to release pain, and having this sense of optimism that's coming back into your life and specifically forgiving someone or something. When this card is in the upright position, this one does talk about like some painful situations, like painful separation and grief, things like that. So again, we're talking about you potentially going through, even with it underneath the death card, a death of a loved one that is still clinging on to you. And there's this need for you to let go, and that's easier said than done. It's so hard for you to just let go of someone who you cared about and to feel okay, to feel like you're allowed to move forward, kind of thing. So again, do it at your own pace. Know that they don't need to be let go of in the sense of like you can't think about the happy times or think about just like even grieving how you felt and how you were before this happening, kind of thing. But at the same time, allowing yourself to forgive yourself or others of this passing is going to help you far more than it does hindering you, kind of thing. Like you don't want to hold on to it and allow it to just consume you completely. Next, we have the Six of Swords in the reverse position, and this can talk about you not being able to move on. It's literally like you can't move on, and you're holding on to all this extra baggage and everything. So I think that this is kind of just a warning slash like advice when it comes to this, is not getting stuck on your previous mindsets. Because when the Six of Swords is in the upright position, this one talks about kind of a like almost like a bittersweet sort of moment where it's like you don't necessarily want to have to go through this transition, but it's completely necessary for you. So you really like regret what is happening in this situation, but because it's reversed, it feels like you're just trying not to reach that point. You're trying not to fully accept what is going on. And of course, absolutely do it in your own time. Like someone on YouTube just doing a general reading telling you like, yeah, you got to get through your dang trauma. Like, you know, that doesn't help. Like being told like, yeah, you've grieved long enough or whatever, which that is not at all like a thing that can happen. You're allowed to grieve for as long as you need to, but I think to gain closure, you have to reach the point of acceptance. So even if you still want to grieve in the way that you do, and you still want to hold on to that because that's what's needed right now, you still are able to accept like what has happened, and that your life does need to continue moving forward, kind of thing. Because a lot of the time when we go through grief, we can keep ourselves stagnant in one place, or we can sometimes even revert. And that backwards sort of thinking will end up bringing you to a point where you just can't see like a future, kind of thing. You can't break free from that. And you do want the pain to end, sort of thing. So we want to make sure that we're just conscious of ourselves and how we want to progress. Do you want to be stuck in this mindset and always be feeling this way? Or do you want to be able to forgive yourself, forgive others, and proceed forward? Can we get some more messages for group 3? We have Mimicry coming out, but it came out in the reverse position. I don't normally read these cards in the reverse position, but the feeling that I'm getting from this almost is trying to perhaps mimic what was in your past, like your past self. The fact that it came out reversed kind of gave me that feeling as like looking backwards, and it could be just as easy as, did you have hobbies that you used to do that you no longer do? And do you want to revisit those? Or was there a mindset that you used to have that hasn't been like back in your life since whatever this situation was? It may be time for you to almost mimic that by bringing it back into your life and seeing if you're able to kind of embody it as you move forward. So look back on things that you used to enjoy, I think, could be some good advice. Maybe tapping into those things will help you be able to have a new creative start with your life, even though it's you revisiting something from the past. I do think you have to do something that deals with the arts in some way, shape, or form, because we're seeing this popping up here in like the Eight of Pentacles, despite it being reversed. Then the Princess of Cups or the Page of Cups talks here about that sort of creative jump kind of thing, that I think that there's something that maybe you did in the past that can help you almost vent. So if you used to do like vent art or something in the past, or you liked to write your emotions out, it might be good to revisit that. That can be extremely helpful. Next, we have communication. This immediately made me think of like leaving the door open for communication. So even if this wasn't someone who passed, if this was potentially someone who hurt you in the past and you're just not sure on how to move on with this sort of thing, it could be that you're leaving the door open for them to potentially come back and communicate with you. So that could be a message for some of you, is making sure that you leave that open. If this is someone who hurt you, who you haven't expressed that they hurt you in such a deep way, it may be time for you to communicate with this person. And lastly, if it is someone who has passed, it could be that they may be trying to communicate with you, maybe through like your dreams, or if there's certain things that you always associated with this person, maybe make sure you keep your eyes open for those things and see if you can spot them, and see if you recognize like when and why they appear, in case you need like sort of a message of this person being like, hey, I'm fine, or everything's gonna be okay now, kind of thing. And get some more messages for group 3. The first one that I have coming out is Garnet, and it says ignite your passion. So there's going to be something that will take up a lot of your time, I think, in the near future, that will lead to you becoming far more passionate when it comes to expressing yourself, and something, again, that could be a more creative venture that could help you with this healing journey. I have a couple more cards. One fell out, so I'm definitely taking it. Just move these real fast. The first card that we have that I pulled is this Apophyte, which says stay positive, which very beautiful, very simple card. Obviously staying positive throughout this journey, throughout this process itself. We do see the Sun card here, so even though it is reversed, there is some positivity that can be found there. So it could just be a cloudy day, but throughout it all, there is this sense of warmth and vibrancy that is there. So no matter how long it takes for you to process, staying positive is going to help you. And then the last one we have is the Epidoite, maybe? I'm not sure. I should probably look these up. It says go deeper. And so looking within and really seeing the root cause of this pain is really something that I think could help you during this, and really being able to seek that closure. is going to be you being able to look within and process things at a like deeper, stronger level kind of thing. Instead of just surface level processing, you are looking in, like this hermit here that we have. You're looking within and trying to figure out exactly what it is that, like, why are you still holding on to all of this pain kind of thing. We get one last message for group 3. We have Carne, which says losing is not necessarily loss, which I think is very beautiful for this reading in particular, is that especially if you lost someone in your life, if someone passed, is that they do live on beyond them passing here, and that it is something that you can hold on to. Like, this person's memory is something that you can hold on to and bring with you into the future, and that you haven't lost them fully, because they're still obviously like in your heart and in your mind kind of thing. So you will always have them, and even if you can't see them on this realm, they are like looking over you. They are present in your life. If this isn't a situation where someone has passed, even though it kind of went down that route pretty heavily for most of you, is that if someone else hurt you, and you could possibly still be in contact with this person, or there could be the potential of them eventually reaching out kind of thing, but you just aren't there yet. It could be that they aren't meant for you in your life anymore kind of thing. Like, they served their purpose in teaching you a certain thing, and you are taking what you learned from them and you're growing from that. And it isn't a loss that you guys aren't in contact anymore. It's that you've learned your lesson from this person, and now you're that much closer to your highest self. And so despite you losing this person, you still took on those lessons, and you're still moving on in that journey. And it's that what they imparted on you during the time that they were in your life is the real like lesson and the real thing that you needed to bring forward, and not necessarily them. So thank you guys so much for getting to the end of your reading. This one was a doozy. I'm sorry. I tried to not get emotional, but I could like feel it in my chest, because it did feel quite painful. But just know that you are protected during this time. Take all the time that you need in order to process through whatever grief it is that you're going through. Just make sure you don't sort of pull so far away, and that you are able to give yourself this sort of room to be positive and change yourself in a way that is better linked to your higher self. But if you liked this reading or it resonated with you, remember to hit like on the video, click subscribe to join the Crow Coven. And if you feel safe to do so and you want to share a little bit of your story, or if this resonates with you, feel free to leave a comment down below. I read each and every one of them, and hopefully you feel safe enough to share here. But thank you guys, of course, so much for getting to the end of your reading, and I'll see you in the next one. Hello group 4, and welcome to your reading. So in today's video, we are going to be looking at how it is that you can gain closure. And this is actually really interesting, because I came into this recording wanting to do a completely different idea, but just the other day I got hit with this feeling and this want to do this video on closure instead, and I couldn't get it out of my head. So even if I wanted to sit down and do my original video idea, I just simply couldn't. So I feel very called to make sure I get this one out for you guys this week, and hopefully it ends up helping a few of you out there. The other thing that I found really interesting about you guys' group in particular was I sat down before I even filmed the intro, and I pulled the cards for each of the groups. And so I started with group 1. I was like, what can group 1 do to gain closure? 1, 2. I went to do group 3, but for some reason I said group 4, and I was like, wait a minute, no, group 3. And I tried to pull it, and I was like, okay, that feels wrong. And I was like, wait a minute. Okay, so is this for group 4? And Spirit was like, yes. So instead, I pulled group 1, 2, 4, and then 3. So you guys were like, I want to come out. I want to say something. So it seems very much like there is a want to be heard and a strong message that wants to come out. So we're going to find out together. So because I haven't looked at the cards yet. And you guys chose this pink agate, and this can really help to like harmonize opposite sides when it comes to conflict. So if there is some sort of anger or bitterness that is going on within your heart, this message can definitely be for you and to help you through this. It can also be helpful when promoting like love between parent and child relationships. So if you are potentially a child who was maybe hurt by a parent on growing up, then this could potentially be a message for you to kind of look into that. And that's the kind of closure that you're looking for. Let's go ahead and get into it. The first one we're seeing is the 3 of Pentacles, and I'm feeling really called to pull all of your cards at once, so I'm going to do so. The King of Swords in the reverse position, the Hierophant, 8 of Cups, and then lastly we have the 9 of Cups. So yeah, this is interesting, and it does kind of read a bit like this is a family situation. It doesn't have to be for all of you. It can very much be a, like, perhaps you need closure from a friendship that went downhill or an ex sort of situation. But for some of you, this is going to be talking about parents. Especially, I'm seeing almost this vibe of you potentially being an only child. And the reason why I'm saying that is I felt really called to looking at the 3 that we're seeing here in this pentacle, and then this other pentacle or shape here, like the pyramid shape there kind of thing, is that we've got the 3 points where it looks like a mother, father, and child kind of vibe is the feeling that I am getting from this. And that's odd. That doesn't normally hit me like that, but it did for this one. So that could potentially be you in this situation. We're seeing here in the 3 of Pentacles reverse that it feels like there is this lack of teamwork that is going on. And so it could be that you need to find your own sense of teamwork, being able to work with people, even if you either don't necessarily want to or you have different ideals from this person. And in order to get over that, we will see that down here a little bit more. But it feels almost like this is kind of the current situation that you're in, and this is how you can kind of resolve it a little bit more. So we'll go ahead and talk a little bit more about kind of what the current situation could be. Feels almost like this person who has hurt you kind of doesn't recognize you as a person with their full like autonomy. It gives off this feeling of like they don't believe in your skills. They don't see you as someone who's potentially like capable of being able to do the things that they ask of you. And because of that, you feel very much like they just have too much control of your life. They're like too dominant in your life and making decisions for you. And that is pulling away from your like sense of autonomy. That's making it so you can't express yourself and progress in the way that you want to be showing up as, kind of thing. And that's doing a lot more pain than you realize, kind of thing. So it could even be something that could be seen as like abusive in a way, or manipulative kind of thing. We're seeing here in this King of Swords, when this card is in reverse, it normally talks about somebody who's ruling with such a strong sense of authority that it comes across as almost like a tyrant, and you're sitting there needing to just deal with their ruling, and you can't come up to them and be like, hey, you know, like this is how I actually feel about the situation, kind of thing. And for a lot of you, that is why I'm getting sort of this, feels like a parent who is looking down on their child, who may be a full-blown adult who has been through things and has experienced life as well, but they still are seeing you as a child, and because of that, you're not being taken seriously. That's overall kind of the vibe that I'm getting from this, is that even if it's not a parent, this could be a ex-partner who is still like treating you as if like you like can't get things done or do things properly, things like that. So take it as it resonates with you. We're seeing that to be kind of reinforced a little bit with this Hierophant. This card talks about like conforming to a specific set of beliefs and tradition, and so following this kind of structure. It can talk about religion, so this could be somebody who's religious, who maybe have differing opinions than you do, and that could be causing some contention because perhaps they're someone who's extremely religious and you're more agnostic, or like more into something like witchcraft or some more like spiritual beliefs, and they're looking at you and being like, oh, I'll pray for you, and you're just like, no, don't. And so it's kind of causing this like this point of contention between you guys. I think something that has been happening as well during this time is that you have been feeling like you need to withdraw from everyone and everything in your life, or because you don't want to see how this is causing you hurt and pain, when you're flat out told like, hey, leave this person behind. Like, you don't need to be dealing with this person, even if you have like a lot of love for this person, and you're like, oh, well, I have to be there for them because, you know, they're my parent, or, you know, I've been with this person for so long, kind of thing, I couldn't possibly leave them. I think you're blocking out any advice that comes from people that are saying like, hey, this is abusive, like you should not be going through this, and you aren't recognizing the freedom that you could have with being away from them. So instead, you are focusing on escapism. You're allowing yourself to be taken away into these like fantasy worlds, or ignoring like kind of what's going on with them and with this situation. And you're like, if I just don't look at it, then that means I don't have to deal with it, is kind of the feeling that I am getting here in this Eight of Cups. It can talk about you being extremely disappointed because this person isn't seeing you or taking you seriously on any sort of level, and because of that, you're just overall like feeling like you're abandoned too, because they're not stepping up to make life easier for you either, kind of thing. And because of this, again, it feels like you're really withdrawn from other people, from people that could have helped you. And maybe this is a time where you need to bring yourself back to certain friendships and things and people that actually cared about you, even if it means that you have to put in some hard work. We are seeing in the Nine of Cups, this is like a jump forward in the Nine of Cups. This does talk about your wishes being fulfilled, finding comfort and satisfaction, and having happiness. So I do see in the end that this is here for you, but we're gonna figure out exactly how you can reach this pinnacle, because we kind of talked about like what your situation was. And so I find that to be really interesting because, again, your group jumped out, like your group wanted to talk. So I feel this like need to have this kind of communication. Can we find out how group 4 can navigate this closure? Whoa, this one flew out. The Knight of Wands in the reverse position. What can group 4 do? Okay. Yeah. I don't know why I keep feeling like pulling more cards, so we're gonna do that. I did not get that for any other group, but your group feels very talkative and very like, I'm getting this like really intense energy. 2 of Cups. Can I get one more, please? Okay. Okay, cool. So let's go through these cards real quick. I'm seeing here in the Knight of Wands, the fact that it flew out and it being reversed feels like this sense of like block. There's some frustration that's going on and a delay that is happening, specifically a delay that's dealing with this person. Because of that, you're having this like really scattered energy. And maybe that's what I was picking up on, is I'm feeling this very scattered kind of energy with the fact that like your group in particular wanted to jump out first and wanted to talk. And I needed to lay all these cards down before I could start speaking, which doesn't normally happen. I normally am able to stop and talk at the ones that I want to, but I felt like I had to lay them all out. And then pulling even more cards for you guys. So it feels like there's a lot of thoughts in your head, a lot of racing thoughts, and this feeling of you not being able to get them like down into like one place on how you feel about something. And so I think you needing to take time. Some advice for this is that I think you need to get on the page that you want to be on and start processing something. We're seeing that this is kind of, things have been working against you for a long time, though, that have been out of your control. And that might be partly why you're going through all of this, is that it isn't completely you like just sitting there and letting life happen and you're just like, wow, so I have to do all the hard work. Like, why has it been so hard kind of thing? I feel like there are other forces out there that have been holding you back, and it is giving you that sort of bad luck. So it feels almost like that there's the potential that you had some sort of like karmic debt that you had to repay, and it's bleeding into this life here. And because of that, that is what is like feeling like you're being held back. I think one of the big things that you need to work on and need to learn is being able to look within and being able to see yourself for who you really are instead of this front that you may have for yourself. And that might be this sort of disconnect that you're seeing, and why there's so much that feels like it keeps happening, and why you can't really get ahead in life is that I am getting this feeling of like you are somebody who maybe talks the talk. Like, I don't want to seem like I'm ripping on you, but like maybe you are very like highly talkative, but you don't want to sit alone with your own thoughts and actually view yourself for who you are and like what you believe in. And because of that, that is holding you back from other aspects of your life. And I have been here, so I'm not trying to attack you. It's just that I think that you would do so much better if you could see yourself for who you are and see that you deserve so much more than what this person is giving you, kind of thing. I'm drawn to the fact that the Hierophant here has the eye at the top of the pyramid, and you're sitting here looking into a mirror, kind of thing. So I think that you also may be thinking that you're turning into this person. You're thinking that this person is being reflected back toward you, and that is giving you a lot of stress, and it's making it hard for you to feel connected with other people. We're seeing here in the Two of Cups reversed, there's some imbalance in a relationship in particular, and I really think it's this King of Swords person. I think there's a power dynamic that's happening where they have too much power over you and you're not able to stand up for yourself, and because of this, it's causing so much stress in your life, and you need to be able to break free from that. I feel like if you're somebody who is an adult who is still living at home and you're thinking that there's no other way and you have to like live with them for whatever reason, whether it's like that they wouldn't be able to afford their bills, or because you're like, I just really love my family, or whatever else. I think those are some excuses that you need to recognize, and you have to get out of that environment. I think your environment is causing a lot more harm than you realize, and this is potentially something that people have told you before, and you've kind of pushed those people away because you didn't really want to hear it. I'm seeing that connection with the Eight of Cups and this this escapism and this abandoning and withdrawing away from other people. Linked with this Two of Cups is that it feels like it's potentially someone has brought this to your attention before and you didn't want to hear it. But lastly, we're seeing in the Queen of Swords, we have someone who is a quick thinker. They're very perceptive, they're very organized and independent. So I think that in order for you to gain your Nine of Cups, you need to become more independent, and you need to sort of decide where the line is, your boundaries, decide on a boundary that you want to have and keep hold of that boundary. And that will bring you this Nine of Cups. We talked a little bit about it before, but this is like your wishes being fulfilled, you gaining complete control of your happiness and your satisfaction in life. And I really believe that you are going to be able to be the person who wields this and brings about this for yourself. So I personally don't think that you are going to get closure directly from this person. I think for you to gain this closure is going to be more about you finally standing up for yourself, breaking away from this relationship or past relationship, whatever is going on, whatever the situation is. Especially if you're living with this person, I think you need to move out and be away from this person, because I think the environment is really dragging you down. And again, you're going to be the person that is going to give yourself this satisfaction and this closure and everything, because you're going to be taking those steps that are going to heal you from it. Whew. I'm sorry, I'm like out of breath, but like that was a lot. So let's go ahead and pull a couple more cards. Can we get some more cards to help group 4 with this closure? The first card that I have coming out is we have teamwork, and this is interesting because one of the first cards we pulled was that Three of Pentacles reverse, which is specifically a lack of teamwork. So we're seeing that you are going to need to focus on teamwork, potentially within, but also with other people around you who will help you during this time. Whether that's you potentially moving out to just live with some friends just until you get like your own place or get your like feet under you kind of thing. Like there's something going on where you're going to be working with more than just yourself in order to process this and be able to get through it in a way that is going to be a progressive sort of feeling instead of a reductive. So in the way of like, you're not trying to be, you're not trying to do it to hurt this person. I feel like, I don't think you're trying to hurt this person, but I also don't think that you should let them continue to go on the path that they've been on when it comes to having this, this power over you kind of thing, because again, it's just hurting you. Lastly, I pulled out this card here, which is Wrath. So this is doing a lot more damage than even I recognize to you guys, and potentially even you guys. You might not realize how much pain you're going through because of this situation. And I think that potentially your friendship or family like bond with this person would get so much stronger if you were away from them. I think that there would be some alleviation going on, and this wrath would get itself worked out a lot more if you were to put distance between the pair of you. I feel like too that this could be something where you may have been stewing on this for quite some time, but you don't need to be afraid of taking this step. Like, no matter how much time has gone by, you're able to be like, you know what, I'm finally going to do something about this. And just because it's taken you a little while doesn't mean it isn't right for you, kind of thing. Like, I think that you are going to be able to make this progress much more smoothly than you even realize. And it's just that scary first step that you need to take. The next few cards that I pulled out a couple. The first one we have is Jade, and it says, be the bigger person. So yeah, you need to be the person who makes this decision, and also recognizing, again, you're not trying to hurt this person, you're not trying to completely cut off all contact or anything, but you also want to be in control of your life. So in order to do that, you need to have this separation happen. There is this feeling, this need of separation that we're seeing here. This Two of Cups can completely mean breakup as well. Like, if this was a partnership with somebody, it can be a breakup card, but I feel like it's a breakup of you and whoever this other person is, and just you going about it with a sense of dignity and being the one to initiate it really is the feeling that I'm getting. The other card that I am seeing here is Labradorite, and it says, see the magic. So I think you need to see the magic within you and the power that you have over yourself and your life, your journey, things like that. And you need to see that there is so much more for you in this world than what you're like letting yourself see from just your small like point of view in your life right now. You can expand that out to so much more and bring so much more to yourself. This Nine of Cups here, again, it is a beautiful card. It's all these cups that are like overflowing with all of this positive energy, this heart that's within it. I think that your life will really truly be able to begin when you're able to see the power that you have, the self-worth that you have, the magic that you have within you, and be able to stand up for yourself and go forward. And I'm going to pull one last card for you guys, group 4. I know I went through all these cards extremely quickly, so again, I'm so sorry. It's a general reading. And of course, you guys have your own autonomy, you have free will, so this is, of course, all just advice, and hopefully you can take it and soar with it. Can you get one last message for group 4, please, Spirit, on how they can work on this closure? What's interesting is that, again, I feel like this is closure that has been so slow going. Like, you aren't even pulled away from this person and you're still wishing that there was closure, like, because it's been such a long time. And why I keep going back to, like, this almost feels like pain from like a father figure kind of thing, is because you've kind of always been in this and you feel like this has always been your life. But I think you're finally recognizing that you deserve more and that you need to go forward. We have in this card, this one is Gaucho, and it says, celebrate your struggles. So it can be bittersweet when you are going through things and you're like, now I have to pretend like I'm happy that this happened. Like, you were strong enough to go through this, and you are strong enough to go forward. So even if you still have opposition against you, like how I mentioned, I feel like you need to separate yourself from this person. I feel like you need to move if you're living with this person. You will still be struggling, but you're progressing so much more. So even if you're like, I need to move out of this house, I'm going to go move in with some friends for the time being, kind of thing. You're still doing something that is so powerful and strong for yourself to take yourself out of that situation. And yes, there's still opposition of like making sure you find the right people to move in with, making sure you're still living close enough to your job to be able to attend it. And the fact that it's going to be completely scary new environment, like you're going to have to pay more in bills or something like that. Even though you're struggling in that way, you still need to celebrate it because you are standing up for yourself. You're finding this new sense of freedom, and you're actually being able to see life in a completely different way that is going to really open yourself up to such magical possibilities. Again, if that Nine of Cups was going to come out, it's because you are going to be able to reach that. And that is just a beautiful card that talks about having so much comfort and happiness kind of thing. So you just have to take those steps. So I know it's extremely hard, but try to see the positive in the things that you have gone through and what you are going to continue to be facing. But it is going to get so much better for you. Anyway, thank you guys so much for getting to the end of your reading. I know this one was a doozy. I'm so sorry. I hope you were able to find meaning in it that will help you, of course, going forward. If you liked the video or it resonates with you, of course, remember to leave a like, click the subscribe button to join the Crow Coven so you don't miss out on other readings just like this one, no matter how honest and heartbreaking it can sometimes be to go through these things and to hear these readings. They do like to try to tell you the truth as much as possible. And lastly, if you feel safe to do so and you feel like sharing your story, you can head on down to the comments below and leave a comment letting me know that this did resonate with you. I read each and every one of them, so I will be there to read your story. Anyway, thank you guys so much for getting to the end of your reading, and I will see you in the next video.